would like to continue now by explaining more in detail the manner that Pierre operates is, I firmly believe it is a cult operation. So I'll clarify that aspect of it. So the best way I think to express myself is if I read this sheet of paper and then I'll explain what it means. It's me that typed this up a while back. So 4 points of evidence to show that Pierre Chesson's group is an active operating cult. Number 1, Pierre starts his Sunday morning church services and Bible studies with 20 to 30 minutes of guitar music, fun, and songs. This relaxes the participants, partially sedates them, and puts them in a passive state of mind. Point number 2. Then Pierre selectively picks out passages and verses from the Bible and reads them to his supporters. He repeats these same selected verses to his supporters over and over again, having a similar effect on their minds as a hypnotist when he dangles his watch in front of their face. Now, by what I mean is, he doesn't repeat it that same night. I mean, the next meeting they have 2 to 3 church meetings a week where they learn the Bible. So he can teach selected verses the one day on Sunday, and that week he can repeat the same verses, or the following week, and then the following week again. So at the various meetings they have, Pierre keeps repeating the same selected Bible verses that forms Baptist doctrines. So he does this. Relaxed from the music and song and this repetition, with Pierre's personal comments, the supporters readily accept the material. Pierre purposely avoids teaching some other segments of the Bible. After the Sunday morning church services is a free meal and social club gathering. As a direct result of this procedure, his supporters remain quite Bible illiterate. See, they remain Bible illiterate from this selective, picking out selective Bible verses and just teaching these same verses continually. Obviously the people are only taught in that manner, and then with Pierre giving his personal views and opinion on these verses also, they have this twisted view of the Bible scriptures. As a direct result of point number 2, the supporters become programmed into believing what Pierre is telling them, to the extent of supporting and living out in actual life Pierre's teachings and instructions in priority to Bible scripture principle. Those of you, dear readers, that personally know Pierre or some of his supporters would see evidence of this. They very much so in reality support more Pierre's church programs than Bible principles. Point number 4. There is a very good website on the internet produced by a psychologist explaining the structure and operation of a cult, similar to Pierre's. The title of this website is www.What is a Cult and How Does It Work? In brackets by Margaret Singer, and then dash YouTube. I'll repeat that title because it's good. The website is very good. It's www.whatisacult-and-how-does-it-work. Margaret Singer -YouTube. Pay special attention about halfway through at number 16 under the title Hypnotism. This helps to explain Pierre's strategy as a cult leader. So I'll clarify some of what I was saying. I guess probably you mostly understood what I said, but I'll clarify it just a little more. This 2 years ago, when I did go to Pierre's church group there for several months at this Kinsman Hall there I was saying earlier, they would have the music start with the guitar music and fun there, like I said, 20 minutes to a half an hour. And then Pierre would say a few comments, and he had a Bible reading from the New Testament there, a story of Jesus, something he had done. And he had like an overhead projector, which puts like the you know how they work. They have this sheet of plastic on a video, or what do you call, like a projector that puts the poster on the wall. So they had that. And Pierre had like a Bible reading on that sheet of paper, which was shown on the wall. So Pierre had this wooden stick there, and he was talking to the group, and he had this stick, and he was moving his stick as he were reading the verses on the wall. So the people were there relaxed, you know, in their relaxed passive state, and they were watching Pierre move his stick and read these Bible verses on the wall, and then Pierre would say his personal comments. So the way, and the people were like in this relaxed passive state there, and you know, they weren't commenting or asking questions or something. It was just Pierre talking and saying what he wanted and giving his opinions of it. So this went on. Pierre would read and then speak. He would make some comments and make like a short sermon after that. And then when it was over at the end, they did have a few songs, just a few guitar songs, music and songs, and then it was finished. And then we'd have a meal. There was a free meal there offered on Sunday morning after service. But this Margaret Singer, she's a psychologist in California. I just found that last fall, around September of 2016, I was looking on the internet and information on cults, and I just by accident ran across this website, and I looked at it now several times. I mean, it's a little over an hour long, and it's very good, very informational. Tells of how cults operate. And I agree with much of what this psychologist is saying, and the way it lines up, the way that I've personally seen it, the way Pierre operates, and the way this psychologist was describing it. You know, as many of you, some of you listeners know that there is a subconscious mind. We have a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. And when our conscious mind is relaxed and in a passive state, when somebody like Pierre plays his guitar for half an hour and relaxes the people and then gives them just selected information and then repeats this each week, it does have an effect to sedate the people and get them to agree to just selective Bible teachings. Like when our conscious mind is in a relaxed state, our subconscious mind just agrees with the information. Like the information that comes through from a speaker such as Pierre, whether it be correct or not correct, our subconscious mind just accepts it. it's similar also to our memory or our subconscious. It just accepts the material whether it's correct or not. So I believe this has happened to many of these people. And if a person goes to talk to these people, either my wife or others in this cult, if you have a Bible and open it and you're trying to show them other passages in the Bible, they cannot grasp it. Because I've spoken to them before, different times. And once you're like in a passive state or like that, and sedated, partially sedated, I mean, and you're just learning this selected verses each week for several months or 6 months or a year, or like my wife's been now, this was 1997, now we're 2017. So 20 years in a cult like this, just receiving just selected verses for 20 years. You can imagine the effect it would have on a person. So I believe I did, like I said, the last 2 years I've been studying about cults on the internet. Just I started with, the definition of a cult and how does a cult operate. And, it was saying that the cults, they're mostly a small group of people which are out of the ordinary and give a lot of recognition to the cult leader. And sometimes, too much recognition. Sometimes they idolize him. And in this situation with Pierre, I mean, they do idolize him. They do, many in the group do idolize Pierre and definitely recognize his opinions above Bible principles. Now that part is not only correct of my wife, but the others. The others in the cult, many of them would recognize Pierre's personal opinion above Bible principle. I mean, that also happens in other cults, not only his cult, but other cults also. The way it's structured and operates, other cults too, the cult supporters will regard the opinions and instructions of the cult leader above other people's opinions or even Bible principles. So this is happening there. And I'm going to put now a picture of my wife. This is Honora. Let's see, I'll put it like that. Honora, come on.